Hey, folks. Welcome to Heart of a Volunteer Veterans Podcast. This is your co-host, Will Price. And we have a great episode for you today with some amazing veterans. I hope you like, listen, and share, and have an amazing day.
All right, everybody. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to another show here on the old podcast. So, folks, last week, a veteran I served with in Hawaii took his own life. Joe wasn't one of my soldiers, but I remember him. It's revealing to discover about his character that my first impression, one that stuck with me over all this time, and something that stuck out to other people that they were remembering him on Facebook and other social media platforms, was his smile. He gave those around him a reason to smile, along the way trying to find his own reason. Too many times the smiles mask other problems. And in this case, he was going through some hard times and battling depression. Joe Littleton, you're going to be missed in so many ways that you and everybody else can't possibly fathom. So here we are again, right? Just, speaking of somebody that used to be here, asking the question of why, how, and, we need to do something. In fact, let's try something here. Let's stop waiting for suicide to wake us up. Every time it happens, let's not let a suicide turn us on to preventing suicides. Let's stop watching and seeing and hearing of people going through hard times and just thinking to ourselves, they got this. Let's stop thinking that just because the guy's big, because the woman's beautiful, because the guy's got a great job, the woman's got money and a car and a family and a smile on her face, that everything's okay. Let's stop and let's discontinue the weak fucking sauce fear of feeling like you're an asshole, or that you're weak because you told somebody that you value them. So getting in somebody's life and saying, just seeing how they're doing, that's you showing somebody that they have value to you. Let's stop being scared of doing that. We need to find some ways to, short circuit and get rid of this code of inaction that we have when it comes to people. We need to find some skills, get the knowledge so that we can open up our hearts and actually let the compassion that's already there out so we can take care of folks. We're very fortunate today, folks, to have Dan Hurd back on. Now, if you've listened to the podcast, Dan is out there pedaling across the lower 48 to bring suicide awareness to the people. Ride with Dan USA, One Pedal at a Time movement, or OPAD-M. Dan he's been through 42 of the 48 states. He's got 16,500 miles, on the road, engaging people. And it's great to have him back on. Dan, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Chris, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be back on HOV. It's great to talk to the listeners and tell them my progress and what's going on.
Hey, Dan, man, you reached out to me the other day. We were chatting, because we do this periodically. We chat, kind of catch up, and then kind of put an episode together, to let the listeners know how you're doing out there, right, on your journey. When I mentioned to you that, we had a veteran that had committed suicide, one that many of the co-hosts that have been on this show have served with, you didn't flinch, man. You offered a resource that can help those people out there that want to help somebody close to them or help a stranger with, helping them get the skills that they need to help them. Let's jump into that first, man, because this whole, the suicide thing is out of control, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
So let's talk about Living Works. You're an ambassador for Living Works. They've been around for 35 years, trying to put great things in front of people. And they've got a new program called the START program that started during the virus. Let's talk about that, man. Let's talk about that and inform the listeners on what's going on.
Yeah, man. Well, first I want to, my sincere apologies and out to your fellow veteran. And even though we didn't serve together, my fellow veterans loss of life. And unfortunately, we still have a high number of veterans that lose their lives. And unfortunately, because of this COVID, we have even higher numbers of all lives being lost. And that's something that we need to change. And we want to be able to do that. And like you said, I didn't flinch. I want to make suicide safe for communities. And I think to do that, we need to bring education to the people that aren't struggling so that they are readily more prepared to be around people that are struggling so that we can have those hard conversations and in the times of listening where we think that, those are things that we wouldn't do, but we're still willing to listen. And then also getting those people in safe spots and getting them to make a plan of action on how to stay alive and stay safe alive. So, and we're going to do that. And we want to do that not just as an organization, but part of the organization as well is to give away these programs. And with Living Works, like you said, has been around for 35 years. Suicide is preventable, but to do that, we all have a role to play. No matter what the role is, we have different programs in place. Right now, because of COVID, it's a little harder to do in-person trainings. That's why we are encouraging START. But what we're doing is we're bringing life-saving skills to individuals, organizations, and communities everywhere. And we're trying to get them to understand that it takes all of us to build a safer, more hopeful world. So that's what Living Works is about. I'm honored to be an affiliate and ambassador for them. I've taken their courses. I think the Living Works Start is a great start to understanding how to get people involved. And what the Living Works Start program is for is anybody over the age of 13. There's no formal training requirements to be able to take the course. And we recommend it to anybody and everybody because you never know who's dealing with it. So we're really trying to get you guys, the listeners, something that the One Pedal at a Time movement is actually really excited about doing for HOV Veterans Podcast, is we want to give away 5 of those courses. We want to give them to the listeners. We want to figure out how we can get that out to your listeners, Chris. Or our listeners, really.
Yeah, definitely, man. You're a co-host on here. You got ownership. Hell, you've been on here 4 times, more than anybody else, any other co-host. So my hat's off to you, my friend. Hey, so the START program, this Living Works, man, that, from looking on their website, the START program runs on this continuum that they call safety skills, building on awareness, identification, and engagement on the START program and it's 1 hour from what they're saying on the website.
Yeah, realistically, it's an hour long. It's about an hour long, but even though I have already taken other more intense training, it took me about 90 minutes. So I like to tell everybody, plan about a 90-minute time frame. And then, it's what's good about it is it gives you the skills and the training that you need to be able to ask that hard question. Right. Are you thinking of suicide?
Now, here's a question for you, man. This is kind of self-paced, right? It's like once somebody starts it, they can go take care of the kids, go get some food in their belly, come back and continue it, right?
Yes, you can. So that's what's cool about it. As long as you stop at a good checkpoint, if you stop in the middle of like a video course, it's going to make you start the video course over again.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with getting a second look at things. So don't worry about that per se. But you can stop it. You can get back to it. Once you start the course, you have 30 days to finish it.
Okay. And you can come back during that 30 days and start over and review things?
Yeah, so within that time frame, you can actually there's sources that are available as well in case because as you're taking this course, not everybody has the experiences that I've had or have ever done a suicide intervention, in a proper stance in a sense. So there's sources that are available to actually help guide you through it. There's if you know people that are actually struggling, there's a list of resources on how to get help. So there's a lot of different ways to, one, get the hands-on training or the virtual training, but it gives you a lot of the education and understanding of how to see signs, how to ask those questions that are ones that a lot of us fear because of the fact that, unfortunately, a huge fear for a lot of people is the thought that if we ask somebody that if they're suicidal and they're not, that we are potentially putting that idea in their head. And I strongly disagree with that. I think that it shows two things. One, if the person's not thinking of suicide and you ask them, shows that you appreciate and care for them, and it gives them that thought that, and that feeling that, they're not alone, even if they ever did get to that point, they know that they can reach out to that person.
Absolutely,
and if that person is actually thinking of suicide, then, man, they take that opportunity to be like, man, somebody called me out on it. And, and usually if someone says no, if they say no right away, that it's probably pretty sincere. But most of us, the person that we're talking to, in most cases, we know them in some form already. So we already can kind of tell, like if they're hesitant on the no, like, no, that's not what I would want. Then you can kind of dig deeper to kind of see what's going on with them, because they may have thought of it, but they may not want to act on it. So there's different ways to do it, but there's nothing that says that you can't ask that question, especially if you know what's going on. If they're having a bad day or a bad week, or their habits have changed or their routines have changed. They used to go out, which unfortunately a lot of us routines have changed because people used to go out, have drinks, or have friend time, and that hasn't happened as much this year. So even more now, we need to kind of make sure we connect with people through video calls, voice calls, whatever we can to make sure and do a safety buddy check.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, hey, Dan, I want to thank you, man, for doing that, because I really believe this is my belief. There are a lot of people out there that are concerned about suicide. They are. They worry about certain people that they know. I know that they do. But I think a lot of people don't know what the right thing to do is when they have that feeling, right? Like I have a feeling that that my friend could, is going down the slippery slope. And I wish I knew, like I could confirm this with myself. You know what I'm saying? It's just, like you said, man, I think the point is, if you come to me and you're like, Chris, you're not doing too well, man. Is this, has this semester been bad? Has it been tough? Pointing out some things that you see to help me kind of, maybe give me the ability to self-correct, or just to know that, you're in my corner. It's that, once again, man, I think it's that level of compassion. And the crazy thing is, you were talking about the day that you were driving, you were riding your bike over a bridge, and you came up on a gal, and you basically engaged her. You gave her a card, and you said, "Hey, have a great day," and you continued on your way. And she was going to commit suicide.
Very simple conversation.
She was going to commit suicide right then, man. And you showed the compassion and, the regard. I think that's the thing, man. We're in this judgment where we see somebody, we judge them right off the bat. instead of regarding them as a human that has problems. They may have they may be on, have their feet on solid ground like we do, if we by chance do at that moment. We need to regard them in the fact that, they may be doing great, they may be doing bad. Let me throw something at them so I can help them if it's bad. If they're having a great day, they're going to give you something better back, right?
Yeah, but even in that case, we shouldn't look for that potentially give back.
Right. Yeah, but that's the thing, though. You're going to get it. If somebody's in the same headspace that you are, they see you, but you're like, hey man, how you doing? I'm doing great, bro. It's a great day. How you doing? That's going to fire you up,
Yes.
Yeah. Dan, thank you, my friend. Thank you for this, man. So
Chris,
5.
like I said.
No, go ahead, man.
Yeah, we're gonna get 5 away, and it's my honor. And for anybody else, before we talk about where those 5 can go to get that course, if anybody else that's interested in taking this course, typically the course is $30. Right now, because of COVID, we're doing it for $20.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it through start.opatmovement.com, you can actually get it for $20. $5 goes back to the nonprofit of One Pedal at a Time movement, and that's how we give away more free courses for people that want to take this course that maybe can't afford that payment, or somebody that just wants to be part of the change. And that's what we want. We want people to be part of the change, and that's how we're able to give these courses away this time, is through other people taking the course. So if you don't want to take the free course, that's fine. Save it for somebody else, but definitely be willing to take the course, and you can do that on the website.
Yeah. Hey, what was that? What was the start dot what again?
Yeah, so it's start.opatmovement.com, OPAAT movement.com. So that'll bring you right to Living Works Start program page, and then you can sign up from there. Like I said, for those that are interested, we're going to do a code, right?
Yeah, we're doing HOV podcast, all uppercase.
Yeah, so for those people, if you want to take the free course, we're going to give the first 5 people to email me at opaatm@gmail.com. That's One Pedal at a Time movement, opaatm.com at gmail.com. Send me the code with your full name and HOV podcast. So that way I can make sure I give 5 to the HOV.
Yeah, good to go, man. Hey, also at the same time, folks, Dan and I were talking. If you've got any questions about Living Works, you've got the safety starter level is what the start is. There's other ones. There's like a suicide talk, and then there's the assist that Dan went through. If you want to know more about it, Dan is an ambassador for Living Works. He's been on their show. He's highly regarded by them. Talk to Dan. Reach out to him. He can square you away with all the information you need. Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I would love to do for people, is if they have any questions, they can directly reach out to me. If you don't want to talk to a person, I understand that. Some people don't like to do that. You can also get their information at livingworks.net.
Yep, livingworks.net. Hey, Dan, thank you again, man. So, once again, you've come up clutch, brother. You've come up clutch a couple of times for me, and you're coming on clutch for veterans and civilians and everybody else out there, brother. I want to thank you for your effort, man, and your heart.
Brother, as you know, I'm honored to be able to do it.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I didn't know where I was in life, and unfortunately, like so many others that may be listening or know people that are listening, we don't feel like we have purpose, and I didn't see a purpose in life 3 years ago, and now I have more purpose than I ever have, and I appreciate life more than I ever appreciated it, and in a lot of ways, I fear death. I know it's going to happen one day, but it won't be by my hands, hopefully, and that's the step that I wanted to be in, and so that's where I take it every day, and that's why I keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm blessed to be able to do it.
Well, man, I'm blessed to have you, man, because if you attempted almost 4 times, right? Was it 4?
Yeah. I was planning my 4th, yeah.
Yeah, that you wouldn't be here, man. That you wouldn't be giving out this information and maybe potentially helping 4, 5, 10, 20, hundreds, thousands of people get their feet up underneath them. Somebody get their head around suicide, be able to help a little bit better. And the way you've enriched my life, man. So, man, I don't know what force got a hold of you, brother, but I'm definitely thankful. Definitely thankful.
Yes, me as well.
All right, man.
Well, and I hope that the listeners are also feeling it, and definitely, if anybody that's listening right now, guys, like, if you have any doubt in your mind that you're not meant to be here, please reach out to me. Contact me directly. Just give me enough time to respond, because I will always respond, and I always want to find a reason for you to live. And or even if you're just having a bad day, you want somebody to talk to, know you can reach out to me. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Hey, folks, you need to go on Facebook. You need to go on Instagram. You need to go and follow Ride with Dan USA, One Pedal at a Time movement. You need to go and watch and follow Dan as he's going through. He's doing some amazing stuff out there. And we're going to talk about pretty much where you picked back up, where the virus hit and shut down everything, to where you picked back up. So let's talk about that, man. Where are you at in your journey right now? And then let's jump backwards and kind of paint the picture how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so right now I'm actually visiting on my 42nd state. I'm in Pocatello, Idaho. And it's been an interesting couple months since getting back on the road. And that all started back in Alabama. That's where I went. I think the last time we spoke was in Alabama, where I had stopped my journey because of COVID from Texas. I left my bicycle in Texas. I ended up leaving it there with a woman that I met that was kind to let me keep it on her property, and took the time to focus on building my online presence a little bit better, trying to get my social media, my websites up to date, which really were beneficial, actually, to take that time to do. I've had, for instance, my One Pedal at a Time movement website, which was the first one that I wanted to update, was getting probably about 100 to 200 views a month on my old website. It was a little bit more harder to navigate and everything like that. So what I did was I redid it. Now, being online for about 4 months, I'm getting about 500 views a month. So it definitely doubled my numbers.
Great.
Which makes it more accessible. It's more visible on Google searches as well, which is amazing. And what that did was inspire me to redo my Ride with Dan website as well. For anybody that has checked out my website from previous times, on our previous interviews or radio coasts, they went onto my old website, and unfortunately, like, a lot of people were having difficulty with it because it wasn't a secured website. So a lot of security systems wouldn't let you onto the site. Now it's a secure site. It's more navigationable. You have more resources, and it's just really overall a well-built thing. And it's definitely proven to help out even more, especially with the One Pedal at a Time. Something that I've been doing on my journey, when I get to meet a lot of these organizations and a lot of these people that support different organizations, is get information from them. And something that I wanted to do was, I don't find, I haven't really found on my searches, is finding a place where all these resources are in one location.
Right.
Usually you have to look up certain things to find that one thing that you're looking for. I built a page on my website called There Is Help on the onepedalatatime.com/There Is Help. The goal is to put as many resources there for as many different types of people and as many different types of reasons to have a call, to give you those options to be able to get people more connected. So it's been really beneficial to get that information out there. And also, really, when people reach out to me asking if they need where they can get certain helps, I send them the link so that they have not just the ones that they're looking for directly, but all of them so that they can see it in their own eyes and find the best thing that's what they need for.
Hell yeah, man. No, I'm glad you you got things fine tuned. I probably need to talk to you, man, so I can get my stuff squared away, because I'm pretty fraudulent when it comes to advertising the show and all that kind of stuff. But hey, man, you busted up through New Mexico, got a little ride in there, got up into Colorado.
Yeah.
Pikes Peak, how was that, man?
It was definitely a lot faster than if I bicycled it. So all the followers know, I ended up having to get a rental truck from Alabama to go get my bicycle in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then from Texas, I had to go through New Mexico. When I got through New Mexico, I took a stop so I could count the state, did some riding there in Albuquerque. Definitely not as many miles as I planned. I was planning about 600 to do through New Mexico. I did 17 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But, one day I'll go back and I'll make up for it. But I still am able to count it because I did my minimum miles. And, it was a challenge, especially with it being 3 months into COVID at that point. But got the riding in, went to Colorado, ended up dropping the rental truck off in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where everything kind of started getting a little shady again. If everybody remembers, that's when they were talking about the second spike happening and the potential possibility of re-shutting down the states. For me, it was a little scary thinking about it because at the time I didn't know anybody in Wyoming. I knew one person in Montana if he was there at the time. And I just didn't know anybody going further out of Colorado. And if they did a shutdown, I didn't want to get stuck somewhere and just not be around people I knew or having resources to be able to survive. And I was thankful that I got to stay with a friend of mine in Denver area. And then when it kind of started dying out, I ended up going from Denver to Fort Collins. And for everybody that's listened to my previous ones with you, I've always had a bicycle that was loaded.
Right.
When I was in Fort Collins, I did something really extreme. I built a bicycle camper, dude.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, man. In the sense of what brought this idea on?
Yeah,
because you had traveled for 2 years, just loaded on your bike, just moving out. Now all of a sudden, a trailer. When you're getting ready to hit some really big mountains, you're going to haul a trailer. Let's talk about this, man.
Yeah, dude. So I crossed the Rockies with a trailer, not just a bicycle now, but yeah, the trailer. What inspired that is something that I was really thinking about was my future ideas. Mm-hmm. Having those 3 months off in Alabama, even though I stayed busy, keeping busy and stuff like that. The fear of not being able to ride my bicycle as much as I have been on this journey was something that I was really concerned about for my own well-being. So I started thinking of these ideas of how I could continue without damaging my body too much because of weight, but also seeing how the next phase of my journey after I do all 48 to go. And one of those ideas was making a bicycle e-bike car. So it'd look like a car, but it would be a bicycle that the only way it would work is if I'm actually pedaling, but I can adjust the level of it. So even if I'm going at a slow pace, like 4 miles an hour, I could potentially boost it up to 28.
Right.
But as soon as I stop pedaling, it'll stop moving. So that was something that I came up with. But then I was like, well, if I do that, I might as well build a camper for it. So that I can have a solar panel on there and charge more batteries and just, make it like a mini mobile home that I am able to drive on bicycle trails and stuff. But it was something that I thought that if I did, it would be a few years down the road. I'd have to come up with a lot of money for it. In Fort Collins, the day after I get there, the guy that's hosting me, his name's Brian. A great tattoo artist. He also tattooed me and tattooed my journey on my arm. And but anyways, he was like, dude, me and my buddy have been talking about building some campers for our bicycles. Would you be interested in hanging out and helping me build mine? And I was just like, light bulbs. Yeah, this is awesome. I've been thinking about this. At the moment, it was not something that I was even interested in, but I was interested in like getting some experience for future.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started building his, and it was just like, oh man, I could do this. I could do that. Oh, dude, I don't have to set up a tent anymore. I could do this. And I just, all these things started popping in my head. And the one we built for him was a lot bigger than mine. It had double wing doors, so they opened up to the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave you like a outer like wing guard or whatever, rain guard. And then it had a trunk. So that his was like his ends up actually weighing almost twice as much as mine.
Wow.
So I redesigned it, thought about the idea of doing it. I dreamt about it, and so I was like, well, if I can find a job, then I think I'm meant to build one of these. And I called one of my buddies that I had stayed with in Denver, and I was like, hey, man, do you think your boss would let me work to make this amount of money that I need to build a camper? And he goes, I don't see why not. Let me call him and I'll find out. Calls me back like 10 minutes later. He's like, yeah, well, do you want to start Monday?
Yeah, nice.
So it was like Saturday, and I was like, yeah. And so I ended up getting down to Denver again. I worked for 10 days. I did 120 hours in those 10 days, and I made just under $2,000, which was exactly pretty close to what I needed, at least in my mind at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, dude, it was,
dude, I like your design that you got, man. Especially like the tuna can doorknob where you can open the door with the tuna can that you repurposed. Keep it light, man. Keep it light.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that tuna can, like, so for everybody out there that isn't seeing the visual, it's a poly teardrop. It's not just a regular teardrop. It's a poly teardrop camper. Unfortunately, I've had it referenced to as a coffin, which I've now become to say that if that's what you think it is, if you guys happen to look at it, it's the coffin that carries all the souls that we've lost to suicide. So That's why I do that part. I don't like the reference to the coffin because I feel like it's counteracting to what I'm trying to prevent. But at the same time, I've had other people that think it's a dog kennel and a buffalo decoy was something else that I've been told.
Right. I can see that, man, going through Wyoming.
Yeah, well, that's who was telling me. A bunch of people in Wyoming. They're like, man, that looks like a buffalo decoy. It's rut season, which is their mating season. Thankfully, I didn't see any buffaloes while I was riding or sleeping, because that would have been pretty bad if they mounted me while I was sleeping.
Now, what about, now you didn't run into any buffalo, man, but what about high-speed wobble? Did you run into any of that?
You know, it's funny that you bring that up, dude. It's, so yeah, I did. Once I got back on the road, I was in Rawlins, Wyoming, and I was coming off the Continental Divide. I was moving. For those out there, before I had the camper, my top speed on my bicycle was 56 miles per hour. My fastest speed ever on a bicycle was 57. Mm-hmm. My goal before was to hit 60. It was my really good first hill to go down on this bicycle, and I felt good. I was doing 43 miles per hour with a trailer attached to me.
Yeah.
And dude, I got hit with a crosswind coming around a turn, and it threw me into this speed wobble that just, guys, like if you saw this, there was a guy that was riding with me. It was his first day on the road with me.
Oh no!
And thankfully he stuck by me. But dude, if just from his, like, I wish I could have him on the phone right now, because his testimony would be like, I don't know how it happened. I crashed to the left. All right, so my left side of my body was on the pavement at 43 miles an hour. He says, and to be honest, guys, all I remember is hitting the pavement and then being on the side of the road, on the right side of the road. He says I bounced off the pavement, went about 6 feet in the air and 15 feet to the right.
Wow.
Missing my trailer The trailer never hit me. I never hit the trailer. My bike had a good amount of damage, but I was very fortunate a few days later. But dude, I pretty much, I think I had minor internal bleeding on my left side. I had a lot of road rash, but it could have been way worse, honestly. I could have been ran over by my camper. It could have killed me. There could have been a car in the road that at the time where I crashed.
Right.
There could have been a car behind me. There were so many other factors that it could have been. I'm thankful for what it was, and that was a little over a month ago now. And to be honest, I feel really good. I got the markings on my road rash still, where the pink skin's still healing, but it's
right.
pretty much healed.
Hey,
but the rest of my arms tan, but
man, I'm glad you had somebody with you, man, and because that would have been scary just being on your own. You know what I mean?
Dude, it would have been super scary.
Hey, you were saying that you had somebody riding with you for like a month. Can you talk about just how, personally, man, like how your outlook and your performance and everything is, compared to 2 years of like riding without anybody or just like intermittently to having somebody 30 days with you. What's the difference in that, man? Being that we're social animals, out there on the struggle, on the road, having somebody with you, man, what's the difference?
Well, so my riding buddy John it was amazing, actually. I really enjoyed it overall. But for anybody that's ever gone on a road trip with anybody or done anything with an individual, especially ones that never mind somebody that you don't know that you kind of just meet, but over time, there's tough days, and there'd be days where he'd be cranky and be tough on me, and there'd be days where I'd be tough on him. But we knew, like, there was one day that I lost it on him, and I was just like, whatever, dude, I'm going to bed. And I just went to bed. It was after a long day of climbing. I was literally physically trained. We'll talk about this in a minute, but I have a brand new watch. It tells me my body battery. It's really cool. And the day that I had this like sleep deprived, energy deprived hatred for whatever reason, I looked at my watch and it said my body battery was at 3%.
Wow.
So I was definitely exhausted and definitely cranky. And but overall we helped each other out. There were days where I struggled, like literally struggled to pedal, and there'd be days where we'd be walking and I just couldn't keep up walking because he had a dog with him. So we would take breaks. We would tell everybody it was for the breaks so the dog could take a walk.
Right.
But really it was a break for us too, and the dog was happy about it. So for those aspects, it was really amazing to be able to keep going and having him help me out. Me take his bike. He pushed my bike at times, or at other times we'd be pushing each other's bikes together because of how steep it was or how the dirt was too soft for my setup. Something that we didn't talk about, which I'll bring up right now, is I think I said my bike used to weigh 175 pounds. This bike with the trailer with me on it weighs 500 pounds.
What? Brother, how did that happen, man? Just the trailer itself and then the extra gear?
So the bike itself was 75. With me on it, it ended up being about 350 at the time. Now I have the camper, which I think weighs about 120 pounds. All the stuff that was on my bike, on my back, is in the camper now. I also carry more food with me because I was given a stove.
Right.
So I carry a lot more water because I'm going a shorter distance than I used to, so I don't make it to a different town or water source every day, potentially. So I carry like twice as much water as I used to. So that adds a lot of weight. The food adds weight. So, yeah, man, 500 pounds, one pedal at a time, sometimes one step at a time. And then even other times it's literally other times it's one burst of energy at a time. Like
right.
It's been tough at times. So,
well, man,
but dude, yeah.
You know, when you were
But
talking,
having John around.
no, go ahead, man. No, I'm stepping on you, man. Go ahead.
But no, having John around, man, was amazing. You know, it's different going by yourself. I think because it was the beginning of my camper journey, you know, it's the same journey, but it's a different journey as well. It really helped me set my pace instead of like over pushing myself because of the extra weight. He had never done a tour, so he was pretty fresh at it. So all those aspects kind of like helped me build up my muscles and get me ready again for the extra weight, especially going over the Rockies. Whereas like where I am now, I'm doing about 40 to 60 miles. So since we separated, I've been doing better, going further distances, but I'm not in the mountains anymore. And I'm, you know, I'm not even if I have a bad day, the next day, if I don't have a bad day, I don't have to worry about him having a bad day. Because what it seemed like is if I had a bad day, he was having a good day. And if I was having a good day, he was having a bad day. So we were kind of counteracting each other, I think, a lot of times.
Right. No, I just wondered about that, man. You know, I know, you know, you're always on Instagram updating everybody. You know, you send me messages, call me, you know, once a week and a half or something like that. I guess as long as you're staying connected with folks, man, you know what I mean? Because you can be out there alone and unafraid, and bad things happen to you. You know what I mean? So once again, man, you need something, you just reach out.
Oh, I appreciate it, brother. I do, and that's the thing with all of us is we, you know, I'm thankful that I have a good network of people that support my journey and support me as a person and everything that I do. And I have a more better network than I ever did during my suicides, and so I'm thankful for that. But the thing is as a person that is potentially at risk, you still have to ask for help. You still got to reach out for the help. And people, and Chris, you know, I've reached out for help at times and just times to vent because I've had a tough time or whatever it was. And but that's what I'd want to encourage people to do is you know, we're not all mind readers. We can see the signs sometimes, but sometimes it's important just to be able to say, hey, man, I need help.
Right. Right. And right along with that, folks, you know, if you go on there and do the START program there at Living Works, you'll get a chance to kind of see identify some of these triggers also. Because here's the big thing, you know, like we were talking, Dan, you know, when I was in school, you know, I went through depression, man. I finished up school with a 3.73. It would have been much, much higher than that. One, if I hadn't got a B in German. But the other thing was, if depression had to hit me 3 semesters. But the thing is, man, somebody reached out to me and helped me out. You know what I mean? But we got to, we have to stay connected to people. You know, we lose touch. So I'm glad you're staying in there, man. And once again, you know, reach out anytime. I'm always here to chat. You know, I got plenty of time. So, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, something that kind of going into the next thing is when things change, go with the detours, you know, make it happen. And, you know, we have a plan to do things, and sometimes those plans don't plan out. But when you go with the detour of life, things work out in different ways, even if it's not what you anticipated. And going with that, Yellowstone, man. When I was going through Yellowstone, well, it would have been great if I went through it. So I ended up going through Grand Tetons. There was a lot of smoke from the California fires. I hope if anybody from California or from the West Coast areas that's dealing with these fires is listening, or if you know somebody, I pray that those go out soon or get under control and containment. I can't imagine what those people are dealing with. I can see it from this far away and feel it and taste it. So I just can't imagine how intense it is for those people. But so yeah, for Yellowstone, man, there was also there was a fire in Yellowstone that doubled in size the first 2 days that I was there. all right, so let me go back a little bit. So there was one place in Yellowstone that I really, truly wanted to see. I wasn't really interested in Old Faithful because everybody goes and sees that. I want to see things that other people don't see all the time. And somebody told me long while back about Lone Star. Lone Star Geyser is just south of Old Faithful. It was the one thing that I was looking forward to seeing. Man, the fire started at the Lone Star Geyser. It was called the Lone Star Fire.
Right.
And then there was an oil spill. So like a bunch of detours. We took a few extra days in Grand Tetons in hopes that they would have the fire contained or reopen the road. That never happened, at least while we were waiting. We tried to find a ride, which proved to be very difficult because of COVID. Also for the fact that I have a camper that's with my bicycle attached 14 feet long and 3 feet wide. So that made it a little bit more difficult. Plus there was 2 bikes and trailers. So we ended up having to ride through it. We ended up on the Continental Divide Trail for a little while. It was a challenge, but we ended up having to bypass completely Yellowstone. I felt like it was necessary. The one place I wanted to go see is where the fire was. So I ended up having to go with a detour. I was kind of bummed out about it at first, but the way I look at it now is it gives me a reason to come back and check it out at a future time.
Absolutely,
something that me and you, I think, have talked about, and for the listeners to hear it, is, people ask me all the time what I want to do after I get to Seattle, my 48th state. I'm already planning on going across the country, so I'm going to go from Washington to D.C. So there's a Trans-American bicycle highway that I think it's like 75 or 70% done. I'm going to take that, and that goes through Yellowstone. So I'll end up going back through there next year, probably.
That runs the northern.
Hopefully no fires then.
That runs the northern half, right? Because I think I had.
Yeah, it stays up in the northern section.
I think I had a platoon leader, Jeffrey Soule. When he got out of the Army, him and his buddy, they started there in Seattle, and they rode that thing. 2 Blokes on Spokes is what they were called. Their website and everything. They had a blog.
Nice.
And his buddy ended up getting some kind of a muscle disease, where his body was like eating the muscle. But Jeff ended up finishing it. He didn't go to D.C. though. He went to Maine, and that's where it ends. The road ends there at Maine, and there's like a big party that they have. A bunch of people that knew him, showed up there to celebrate him finishing and everything else. It's really cool, man. I'd love to see you do that. That'd be a good time.
Oh yeah, so that's definitely something I plan on doing. I got a few other ideas planned out potentially for future projects after I finish all that. I'm really excited to see if I can do it. I want to do the Missouri River on a bicycle.
Like a paddle bicycle?
Yeah, kind of. So what I want to do is I want to make a floating dock, and I want to put a regular bicycle on it that I attach to the dock with either rollers so I can have a propeller, and the front wheel will be the rudder. But I want to be able to pull over off the river if I'm in a town and take the bike off and ride into town.
Yeah. Hey, if there's any listeners out there that got that kind of skill, reach out to Dan and see if you can't start working on something. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be the first time it ever happens. Nobody's ever done it on a bicycle. I know that.
Yeah, you need to do that, man.
So,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I think what I'll do for that is, depending on how it works out, I'm definitely going to do the Missouri River. I might even take that from the Missouri River all the way down to the Gulf.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, hey, Dan, we're getting up on 50 minutes, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hey, the listeners, right. It's hard to keep people's attention nowadays, man. They just don't, they don't listen to stuff too much. So if we go too long, they'll end up turning it off.
Yeah.
So, hey, man, let me leave. I'm gonna let you close it out, man. Talk to listeners, man. Let them know what they need to know. And I want to thank you, man, for being in my life. 2, for being a man of action and getting out there and getting after it, man. Many blessings to you, my friend. And once again, reach out if you need anything. I'm always here for you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that so much. And for the listeners out there, we got to reduce the stigma of suicide. By doing that, we need to get education, either by hands-on training, which unfortunately happens far too often, which we want to avoid. But to get to that point, we have to get education out there. So if you know somebody's struggling, reach out to them, have a conversation, be willing to listen, judgment-free. If you're struggling, be willing to ask for help. Go ask, tell people you need help. Go have a conversation and be willing to show your strength. So many people have heard it as weakness. To be able to tell and show somebody your vulnerable side is huge strength. So don't look at it as weakness, look at it as strength. And I hope everybody has a blessed day and a blessed week, and enjoy the time that you have.
Copyright Heart of Volunteer 2020.